Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Your History, the podcast that covers all areas of history, heritage and archaeology, no matter how big or how small, how well known or how niche. Today's guest was Emily Pigott. She is a PhD student studying Paleolithic archaeology, and I knew Emily when we were back at university, so it's been lovely to have a bit of a catch up with her and finding out what she's been up to recently. I hope you enjoy this episode where we both talk about archaeology. Today I'm with an old uni friend of mine, Emily. She has pursued her career in archaeology, whereas a lot of us haven't, but she has. So welcome, Emily.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your podcast. It's so kind of you, and I'm happy to be here.
That's all right. So I wanted to know, what have you been doing since uni? So just to let people know, we were both at Bradford University doing an archaeological degree, and some of us have obviously pursued that archaeological career, some of us haven't. Emily, you have. So
yeah, somehow it worked out, but I had to move a lot. Let's start with that. So we finished our degree, and then I went into commercial archaeology because I couldn't afford my master's degree, which I had a place at UCL actually for 2 years, but I couldn't afford to finance it, and there isn't enough financial help in UK, as many of us know. So I went into commercial archaeology. I went with a company in Derbyshire, and I worked a lot near Birmingham on a lot of Roman sites. And then winter came, and they had no more work at that time. So then I had to start looking at other countries. So then I looked at Ireland, and I saw that there was a lot of jobs going in Dublin. So I popped myself over to Ireland without knowing a single person in the Republic of Ireland, because I knew I really wanted to stay in archaeology. So I was in commercial archaeology, a lot of medieval sites in Dublin. And then I became a graphic designer also for the company. So I did all the graphics for publications, interacted with the engineers, the clients, to do all this stuff. And then I got bored and I wanted to move again. So then I ended up in Munich in Germany in another commercial job. So then I went excavating all around Bavaria, even in COVID. That was actually our busiest time. It was very strange.
Really?
It was so busy.
That does sound really strange, that it would be busy in that time. Is it because there was nobody around? Did it make it easier or something, maybe?
It was like, because a lot of the land, they wanted to build labs for the COVID centres, basically, to make the intricate parts of, let's say, COVID tests. And all the areas had probable archaeology there. So then we had to work extra hard and extra long to excavate the area so they could build their labs, basically. That's why we were super, super, super busy. It was crazy busy. I remember we was like living out on the sites, working 6, some people 7 days a week.
Blimey.
So that was not so good.
No, but definitely an experience.
Yeah, definitely experience. Being on the trains when no one is there is kind of nice. But at least we was like a family of archaeologists living together and working and spending time with each other in COVID. So I wasn't alone at COVID at all, weirdly. So that was kind of nice. And then I did my master's in Munich in Germany because it's free in Europe. So, but I couldn't do archaeology because there was nothing in English and my German is not fluent. So I did a master's in paleobiology and geobiology and mixed archaeology into that in my thesis, concentrating on isotopes analysis for paleoenvironment reconstruction in Austrian Paleolithic sites.
Oh.
And then I carried on in commercial, and then I got my PhD, which is fully funded. And now I'm in Vienna, Austria, working on Neanderthal sites around Europe.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah, it definitely sounds it, but I suppose, like with anybody who wants to go into archaeology, it's never a straightforward career path. It does have its turns and stuff, which yours clearly has. But would you have it any other way?
No, I don't think so. I think it was good to go through the rough patches. I don't know. I always think about commercial archaeology when sometimes I was like outside in minus 15 degrees digging, let's say, a medieval pit or Bronze Age pit. And now I think of now, you know, I have my office, I'm in the lab, it's nice. But I'm like, no, I'm glad I went through all that. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a reward at the end of it all.
Yeah, a little reward, yeah. Having a warm place to sit.
So while you were doing your commercial digs, what would you say was one of your favourite ones that you were doing? Okay, top 3.
Great. I've done so many. Sometimes I've only been on the sites for like 2 weeks, so I get moved again. But I have to say one of the top ones was in Dublin. It was next to St. Thomas Cathedral, the Abbey, actually. And I was there for 8 months. And it's weird, right? There wasn't anything amazing found at this site, but I think it was because I was there for 8 months and we had so many tanning pits. I'm talking over 800 tanning pits, and we just stank of tanning pits constantly for those 8 months. But it's just because of the family environment I would feel at this site. There was so much nice pottery, actually, like green glaze, late medieval from Germany in the site, which was really, really nice. But it was just absolutely incredible how many tanning pits there was, layer after layer after layer after layer. I don't know, that'll stick with me forever. I don't know, it was crazy. It's constant. And then another one, I've done a lot of medieval, to be honest. Too much medieval now. I can't look at medieval archaeology anymore. I love the history, love reading historic novels in medieval period all day, every day, but I can't look at medieval archaeology anymore. It's just too much now. Yeah, there is many, but to be honest, one of my top research digs, if I may go on to that, was when I was in Portugal, actually, when we did the excavations in the second year, and I was in Pigott in Portugal, and this is a Chalcolithic Bronze Age site, and there was lots of ivory figurines found. That is definitely a top one. That was an amazing site. So much better than medieval pits. So much better.
I can imagine. For starters, you're in a warmer climate than Ireland, for starters.
Yeah, that was nice. I feel like in general, though, research digs are a lot better at commercial, finding nicer things, because commercial is so fast paced, it's crazy. It's literally a gym workout every day. So finding very intricate things sometimes, let's say beads, is very low chance, because then you got your client on the back, like go, 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 go. So it's just a lot of pottery, to be honest. A lot of pottery, a lot of faunal remains, lots of horses and sheep. And then some really nice pottery sometimes, from my memory. Maybe I suppressed some of it.
So would you definitely recommend people to go into commercial archaeology?
I would, for maybe a couple of years. But personally, I can't see commercial being right for many people forever. It's just because the hours are long, and personally, as many of the commercial archaeologists, the pay is not enough. And there's not much hierarchy in a way. Like, you can be a consultant, which is amazing, it's an amazing job, but there's not many jobs available, and even then the pay is not so good, I guess, compared to research jobs, for example. And it's a lot of work. But I think for a couple of years, I think it's great to like go site. The experience is insane. It's amazing to get the experience. And if you want a free gym, it's the way to go.
That's fair. And so I'm assuming then in the real world it's nothing like programs like Time Team or the British Dig or anything like that.
Time Team is like luxury. When I look to see some of the episodes still now, I'm like, wow, that looks amazing. I don't know, like sometimes commercial digs, you won't even have like a toilet, so it's pretty dismal sometimes. Very fast.
So what have you been doing in regards to your research for your PhD? Have you been doing digs for that as well?
No, actually, all the material is from the 90s, which was excavated. So my primary countries are Crimea and Spain. So the material was brought over to Central Europe 20, 30 years ago. But I am still excavating every summer at different sites and Paleolithic cave sites. I must admit, it's more for fun because my boss knows I was outside digging for 7 years and I need to go outside sometimes. And it's also really good for me to make more connections with Paleolithic archaeologists because Paleolithic is my main time frame, which I'm into, which I've always been into, but I can finally do it now. So yeah, not so much outside anymore. 3 weeks a year now, which I love when I'm there. It's so nice to be outside.
Yeah. And are you able to go, are these digs just something that you stumble across, or are they ones that you have to pay for? Because when I've been looking to try and get into digging, there is some digs that happen at, say, like Linda's Farm and stuff, but you have to pay for your time.
Oh, for me, I would never pay. For me, I would be like, no, I've got too much experience. For me, these research digs are, the directors know my boss, my supervisor, and then they ask me to dig with them in the summer. So I usually have a few to choose from, and then I hop over there and get stuck in. But yeah, it's kind of weird to me. Like, I understand how some digs are asking for finances, but if you have an archaeology degree, I don't personally agree with them asking for money. But that's a whole another subject. That's my personal opinion, though. But no, I would never pay. I can't. It would hurt my soul.
Fair enough. So what was it about your PhD? What made you want to do the subject matter that you're doing?
Yeah, so my master's, I was doing purely isotopes, basically, oxygen, carbon isotopes. And then I've always been into radiocarbon dating. I think actually from one of our courses, scientific frameworks, which we had, which was really hard for me because my science background is really bad. But now I'm doing chemistry and stuff. It's kind of crazy how it works. And yeah, and then there's my boss is Thomas Hyam. He's doing a lot of radiocarbon dating. He's one of the top dogs, you can say, in the field. And I came across his book. He's got like public access book now, which came out maybe 3 years ago. And I read it and I was absolutely addicted to his subject matter. So then I emailed him basically and asked him like, do you have any PhDs going? Because I really, really find this subject really, really interesting. I've always been into radiocarbon dating and like using chemistry with archaeology. It's just like another world which I've always been obsessed to get into. So that's it. Just reading and then emailing. That's how it worked.
That's really lucky, because for a lot of people doing the same sort of thing, they probably wouldn't have been able to go down that route.
No, that's true. Funding is so scarce, but I think you just gotta, for people who want to do PhDs, you just gotta email everyone and just make contacts. That's what I was doing. I was emailing across Europe. And then this person said, go to this person and this person, this person. And then my name got around and then it worked. Basically, that's how I did it.
That's really cool. So what did you say you specialised in regards to your PhD? So is it about the Mesolithic?
Paleolithic. So
Paleolithic, sorry.
Yeah, it's both got lithic in it. I'm looking at the late Neanderthals, mainly in Crimea. So it's the Upper Paleolithic, Middle Paleolithic transition at this time when Neanderthals become extinct in Europe, especially in Crimea Peninsula and the Spanish Peninsula. So I'm using radiocarbon dating to reanalyze many of the artifacts, which was dated in the 90s, early 2000s, because now we have newer protocols which help to diminish the contamination which is in the bones. So this is one side of what I do. And then I also do paleoproteomics, which is I'm using Zoom, so it's through Archaeology by mass spectrometry. So I'm identifying unidentified faunal remains by looking at the collagen and the peptides to see what they are. And this really helps to look at the paleo environment and also to find potential hominins. And actually, a couple of months ago, I found a new Neanderthal in Crimea using this technique.
Oh, wow.
Which is under DNA analysis right now. So, yeah, it's very cool. It's a derived Neanderthal, but I'm pretty sure it's a Neanderthal. So that's what I'm doing, basically.
Wow, that's really, really cool. And what are you hoping to find on that particular Neanderthal?
To be honest, I'm just really happy that it's got enough preservation to even be like dated as well, because it was 43,000 years, because a lot of the other faunal remains which I've dated from this site or zooms, they failed because the preservation is not so good because they're really old actually. So I'm hoping to find the sex of the derived Neanderthal. Let's see if that. And also it would be really good if the nucleus DNA analysis shows up like how they fit in the tree, like have there been intermingling with Homo sapiens, maybe even Denisovians, for example. So this is a big hope. Let's see of their preservation because it's old.
Yeah,
it's very exciting.
Can you explain to the listeners the difference between Homo sapien, Neanderthal, and the other branch that you've just mentioned?
I'll try. Yeah. So Homo sapiens and Neanderthals derived from a common ancestor around 600, 700,000 years ago out of Africa, and they did split off. Denisovians is kind of a more of a new thing. It's around being discovered maybe 12 years ago, I think now.
Oh.
But Neanderthals split off from Homo heidelbergensis most likely, and they went more towards Europe and Asia. And Denisovians, when they've only been really found in Siberia and possibly some more sites in West Asia. But Homo sapiens are mostly found to be in bigger groups and more intermingling. We can see this with the lithic technology, so their stone tools. Neanderthals have been found to be overall more robust, a bit shorter, smaller groups, and more isolated, which is most likely why they became extinct around 40,000 years ago. And Denisovians is quite more of a new hominin. So a big discovery was found about 10, 12 years ago by my boss and his old PhD student back then, Samantha Brown. And they found a Denisovian who his mother and father was Homo sapien and a Neanderthal.
Oh, okay.
Became a Denisovian, and there's possibly some more hominins around which has derived from this, but yeah, I don't know fully where they are or where the analysis is being taken place at one university. But yeah, I mean, it's all a big question game, and sometimes new hominins just pop up left, right, and centre, but then get squished. That's the main difference. So yeah, Neanderthals more isolated, become extinct around 40,000 years, and Homo sapiens lived on for whatever reason. They survived, which is us.
And you did say that you were doing loads of digs up and just basically around around Europe. What sort of differences have you found while doing your excavations between like England and Europe, if any?
Oh, good question. In commercial, there was differences in like the techniques, our protocols, which is a bit confusing. You know, the biggest difference actually, you know, in England we use feet and inches.
Yeah.
And then I went to Republic of Ireland and it was meters and centimeters. That was a little learning curve because they had no idea what I was talking about. Using feet, for example, and that was same in Europe. But to be honest, it's really similar everywhere. The only difference is the sedimentology, really, the geology. For example, I was at a site in Israel last year before the unfortunate war commenced. and the sediment was really, 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 really hard. It was crazy. So we actually had to use jackhammers and drills to get through the sediment because it was basically fossilized sediment. That was crazy. So that's definitely a difference because it's a lot more hot and it's just changed the sediment over time. But to be honest, it's really similar everywhere. I feel like when you have experience, you can just hop in to any site across Europe and it'll be fine, mostly. It's just the feet and the meters. That was the biggest shocker because then I had to learn both. But now I got both down, so it's good. But first time in Ireland, they had no idea what I was talking about.
So there was no differences in regards to the archaeology. I know that you're covering different periods, so you were doing a lot of medieval and now you're doing a lot of more earlier stuff. But was there any overlaps between the digs you were doing?
Overlaps in what way, sorry?
You guys, like some of the digs, did you do some like medieval ones there as well and see any differences or all like that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I did medieval in Germany, Ireland, and England. Yeah, okay. The timescales are a bit different. For example, like actually something which is kind of crazy. In Ireland, if I've got this right, the first red brick was 1555, if I remember correctly. Don't know why I remember that. And for example, in Bavaria, red bricks came in like I don't know, 800 years ago or something. That's not an exact date, but way earlier. And that was kind of crazy. Also, like green glazing came in Europe way earlier in Germany. And then in Ireland, it's like a special thing in late medieval. So there is a lot of differences in that aspects. I guess England and Ireland was just later with the glazing and the red bricks because different techniques was coming in later and Europe tends to have better clay too, the bricks. But England still has good clay, but just different techniques. So yeah, there was a difference because the timescales are different. For example, like Neolithic and Bronze Age is a few hundred years different from England and Ireland too, which is kind of confusing. So yeah, I guess there is differences.
All right. Wow. I mean, it's not surprising, I suppose. It takes a long time for people to travel over to one place, but knowing myself, I'd probably find it very difficult because obviously most of my knowledge is British history. So to then go into another country and try and go, oh, but we had this. Oh, all right.
Exactly, that's what I had. And then I felt like I had to learn the whole technology again for the pottery, for example, and the ages. And then lithics, that's so confusing because everywhere is so different. Every region or every country, that's just a big learning curve every single time. But you're right. I was always confused, like every different country or different region. I was like, okay, I have to relearn everything.
Should be like a walking encyclopedia now, you know, all the history everywhere.
Oh, I definitely suppressed some of it.
So, one last question. So, if anybody else was wanting to go and do a similar sort of thing that you're doing, what would you recommend for them to do?
So you mean like doing archaeological chemistry or PhD or?
Sorry, yeah, I should have clarified. If anybody wanted to go down like the archaeological route, I know that when you graduate, they do try and help you in trying to get like archaeological jobs and stuff. But one of the major things that you need is a driver's license. This is one of the reasons why I didn't go down the archaeological route because at the time I didn't have it. But for anybody who wants to, who say they've already got the degree bit and they want to go down the archaeological route, what would you recommend to them?
I would say in their bachelor's, do every work experience you can because I did quite a lot. I did excavations nearly every year in the summer. And I also worked in the labs for free because that's what you do when you're a bachelor student, right? But it's a bit different here in Europe. You actually get paid mostly.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, just like a little stipend, which is amazing here. But I can remember I did a lot of that. And also I really respect our course, what we did with a year of work experience. That helped so much because I worked in worked in British Museum and 2 different universities during that time. And that really helped. It got me some connections. And then actually the driving license is a big thing, but I have to say I didn't get mine until I was 24. So I had no driving license when working in commercial at the start, and I actually never needed it, weirdly, because I would always just hop in the company car in every commercial job. But I know that's a big thing, especially now. It's more of a thing, I believe. But I would say, yeah, in your bachelor's, just do all the work experience you can. And then afterwards, just email every single company in existence in your area or your county. And I have to say, you have to be prepared to move. This is my 4th country now, and I feel like I'm going to move at least 2 more countries. Oh, work experience is the thing. That's the only way now, I think. But anything is possible.
Fair enough. Oh, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to say for the listeners about your background, archaeology, research, anything?
Oh, that's a big question, actually.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah. I would also say it'd be really good for people to mix sciences with archaeology. I think this is really cool because I believe science and archaeology is becoming more and more and more of a thing, like with isotopes, radiocarbon, proteomics, especially isotopes. I think it'd be really good for people to combine them. Even if you don't have a chemistry experience like me, you just learn it on the job. Why not? I think that's a really important aspect. And I hope that there's lots of possibilities for digs in England right now, because actually I'm not sure. I saw the Sheffield Castle excavations, which I was following, and I really wish I had time to pop over and help them. I'm not sure if they would accept me because I haven't been in Britain for a long time working. But is there actually a lot of digs around UK now?
I see a lot of jobs popping up for Milton Keynes. They seem to have a lot of jobs popping up for a variety of different things. Some of it's been like surveying roles, some of it's been geological roles, and then some of it's been archaeological trainee archaeologists and things like that. So there's a lot of roles that seem to pop up with them an awful lot.
Okay, so there is stuff going. That's good. I'm glad. Yeah. Don't know. I hope everyone reads a bit of archaeology every month because it's such a fascinating and interesting subject, especially with the sciences which is becoming more involved in archaeology and the intermingling of, like, let's say, chemists and geologists and archaeologists together. This is super important, and I hope it gets better and better with the mixing of communication between the fields.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope it improves as well. So yeah, to anybody listening who's interested in the field of archaeology, just know you are not going to be learning how to use a whip or using guns like Lara Croft. It requires a lot of grafting, unfortunately. But if you decide to pursue it and decide to get a degree in it, just know that it's not all sunshine and roses. You will be able to go down your route, but it's not like it is on telly. As Emily has just been mentioning to us, it's very long days, sometimes in very miserable weather. But I would still say go ahead with it because archaeology is a really rewarding field. It's been separated from everything else. Other fields need to stop isolating it and making it seem like it's its own thing. It's not, like you said, we connect with everything. So if you do geology, we've got parts of that. If you do chemistry, we do parts of that. History, clearly, we do parts of that. So we need to band together.
Yeah, do the passion job. I always say it's a passion job, but that's like the most important thing, right? You could work in IT or finances and have a lot more money, but then at the end of the day, you just, on average, going to be much more sad, to put it nicely.
Although that's the field that you really, really love. But yeah. Well, thank you, Emily, for agreeing to come onto this and for talking to us about your PhD and archaeology in general.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's all right. I will sign us off now then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Promise.